You are trapped inside a steel tube beneath the North Sea. The air smells like diesel fuel, sweat, and fear. Above you, the most powerful navy on Earth sleeps peacefully. The British believe their harbor is untouchable, impossible to infiltrate, impossible to survive. But tonight, you are about to sail directly into the heart of the British Empire. You are Günther Prien, commander of German submarine U-47. And if you fail tonight, your crew will drown in freezing darkness beneath Scotland. If you succeed, the world will never fear battleships the same way again. Because tonight, a single submarine is about to humiliate the Royal Navy before your name spread across Europe. You were just another hungry boy growing up in post-war Germany. The country is broken after World War I. Factories collapse. Families starve. Pride disappears. You go to sea young, not for glory, for survival. The ocean hardens you. Storms teach patience. Isolation teaches discipline. And eventually, Germany begins rebuilding its military under Adolf Hitler. The Navy wants a new kind of warrior. Not loud, not flashy, invisible. Submarine crews. The U-boat force becomes Germany's underwater weapon against Britain. While giant battleships dominate headlines, men like you learn to kill silently beneath the waves. You quickly develop a reputation, calm under pressure, precise, fearless. Soon, you are handed a mission so dangerous that many officers believe it is suicide. Enter Scapa Flow, Britain's most protected naval harbor. The briefing room falls silent as officers study the map. Scapa Flow is more than a harbor. It is the beating heart of British naval power, protected by patrol ships, anti-submarine nets, mines, strong currents, and sunken block ships sealing the entrances. The British believe no submarine can get inside. That belief is exactly why Germany chooses you. The mission sounds insane. Sneak through narrow tidal channels, infiltrate the harbor, sink a battleship, escape alive. One mistake means your hull tears open, the submarine gets trapped, or British destroyers blast you apart. You stare at the map for hours. Tiny gaps between sunken ships. Dangerously narrow openings. Barely enough space for U-47. Finally, you speak. "We can do it." The room goes quiet, because everyone understands something terrifying. If you succeed, Britain itself will panic. October 13th, 1939. Night falls over northern Scotland. Rain slams against the ocean. Inside U-47, red emergency lights glow across exhausted faces. Nobody speaks loudly. Every sound matters. Every vibration matters. You stand beneath the periscope, listening, calculating. The Scottish coastline slowly emerges through darkness. You give the order. Dive. Metal groans. Water floods ballast tanks. The submarine sinks beneath the freezing sea. Now comes the hardest part. The entrance channel is shallow, deadly. Currents shove the submarine sideways toward wrecks deliberately sunk to block passage. Suddenly, steel grinds against rock. The crew freezes. One sailor closes his eyes. Another grips a pipe so hard his hands shake. For one horrifying second, you think the hull has ruptured. But U-47 keeps moving, slowly, carefully. Then, finally, the submarine slips through the barrier. You raise the periscope, and there it is, Scapa Flow. You actually made it inside. The harbor feels strangely calm. Too calm. Where is the British fleet? Then, through the darkness, a massive silhouette appears. A battleship, motionless, unaware. You identify the target. HMS Royal Oak, a symbol of British naval power. Thousands of sailors sleep aboard. You whisper, "Ready torpedoes." The crew moves silently. Sweat drips onto metal floors. Torpedoes slide into launch tubes, angles calculated, distance measured. The submarine becomes deathly quiet. Then, fire. The torpedoes launch into darkness. Seconds feel endless. Then, boom. A violent explosion rips through the harbor. But something is wrong. Only one torpedo detonates properly. Royal Oak is damaged, not destroyed. Even worse, many British sailors think the explosion was an accident on board the ship itself. You now face a choice: escape immediately, or risk everything for a second attack. You choose the second attack. You maneuver U-47 closer, dangerously close. The torpedo officer looks nervous. British patrols could discover you at any moment. You give the order. Fire! 3 torpedoes streak toward Royal Oak. Then, a massive explosion tears open the night. Flames erupt into the sky. Steel twists apart. The battleship begins sinking rapidly. Sailors leap into freezing black water. Sirens scream across Scapa Flow. Searchlights ignite. Chaos explodes everywhere. And suddenly, the British realize the impossible has happened. A German submarine is inside the harbor. Panic spreads instantly. Destroyers race across the water. Engines roar. Alarms echo through the night. Meanwhile, beneath the surface, you are already trying to escape. Because now the entire Royal Navy is hunting you. The first depth charge explodes nearby. The submarine shakes violently. Dust rains from the ceiling. Lights flicker. Another explosion. Closer this time. The crew grips pipes and machinery as U-47 groans under pressure. One direct hit means instant death. You remain calm externally. But inside, you know the odds are terrible. Then comes another nightmare. The tide has changed. The narrow exit channel is even more dangerous now. The submarine inches forward through darkness. Metal screams against rock again. For a moment, U-47 nearly becomes trapped. Everyone stops breathing. Then, slowly, the submarine slides free. You pass the final barrier. Open sea appears ahead. Behind you, Scapa Flow burns. And for the first time that night, you realize something unbelievable. You survived. Morning arrives, and Britain wakes up humiliated. A German submarine infiltrated its most secure naval harbor and sank a battleship. Over 800 sailors are dead. The psychological shock is enormous. If Scapa Flow is vulnerable, nowhere is safe. Across Germany, your return becomes national news. Crowds gather at the docks. You are celebrated as a hero. Adolf Hitler personally awards you the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross. Newspapers call you the Bull of Scapa Flow. But fame cannot protect submariners forever, because the sea eventually claims almost all of them. In 1941, during another Atlantic patrol, U-47 disappears forever. No survivors, no confirmed final moments, only silence beneath the ocean. But the legend survives, because on one cold October night, you proved that a single submarine could terrify an empire.